I'm going to the site right after we finish. I didn't know about this. Every time I speak to you, I learn something very valuable. Before we go too far, let's just talk about one more topic because I don't want to take too much of your time. But we got to touch on the fish oil topic.
Okay.
So just to introduce this to the audience, I think I have to go back a little bit. There's a guy called Ray Peat who he's in his 90s, which is very respectable, and it shows maybe he has one of those centenarian guys and has good genetics, or maybe his thinking works. But he has a lot of I would say he has an unusual level of contrarian opinions in one person, which often would raise a red flag, but he's coherent and his articles are coherent and make sense. One of the things he really popularized was that polyunsaturated fats they are more fragile and more prone to oxidation in the body. That's mainly what he's talking about, is in the body. But he took this so far as to say that if you supplement, most people supplement with 3 to maximum 10 grams of fish oil a day. 10 grams is a little portion of your fat, no matter what your diet is, right? But he still said that even those 5 or 10 grams, it may be a worse decision to supplement with fish oil than not, because it is a polyunsaturated fat and more prone to oxidation. Right? That's one thing. Then, and I think I was trying to figure out where these journalists got their recent papers from. It seems to be a meta-analysis, I think from 2019 or 2020, that showed a higher risk of stroke among people who used fish oil. So I wanted to get your opinion on both of these topics. I think the second one's probably easier to deal with, but.
Well, let's do the second one first, as far as stroke. Yeah. The reason they say that is because among the attributes of, let's say, fish oil or omega-3 fatty acids are decreased platelet aggregation. Because platelet aggregation is the core, that's what basically causes clotting, right? So, in other words, to say that the I got it backwards. I got a little
because that doesn't make sense, right? But it should be the opposite. It inhibits clots. Right. Now I looked into this, so. Actually, I remembered something. When I was originally doing my comprehensive video on fish oil, I noted that Inuits living in Greenland and Alaska and America.
That's where it all started.
In those initial studies in the 30s and 40s, they did actually have a higher risk of stroke, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they did.
But they had much lower risk of myocardial infarction.
But you have to understand there's 2 kinds of stroke. One of them involves a clotting mechanism, which is called a cerebral, what's it called again? I can't remember the medical
cerebral aneurysm?
Not an aneurysm, almost like cerebral thrombosis.
Thrombosis, yeah.
That involves a clotting stroke. The other one is a ischemic stroke.
Ischemic. That's what it was, about ischemic, yeah.
Right? And the ischemic stroke is related to just the opposite, where it's a lack of clotting.
So, interesting. I didn't know that.
So that would explain the higher rate of strokes in that population. But they would much higher levels. What concerns me, however, is, a lot of science is very, we've talked about how it's plastic, meaning it's not made of plastic. Plastic means it changes all the time, This is the problem with the COVID thing. I mean, a lot of people say, wait a minute, 4 months ago, they were telling us we don't have to wear masks, and now telling us we have to wear. They don't understand. It changes because of the way the virus mutates.
We're in a dynamic environment.
The science is always changing. It's not static. I'll give you an example in relation to fish oil. For years, they've said that fish oil helps to prevent cardiac arrhythmias, which are rhythm disturbance of the heart. They just came out with a study last week showing that fish oil stimulates atrial fibrillation.
Yeah, that's so.
And I'm thinking, what the fuck? I mean, geez. But I'm thinking to myself, now, here's the thing. They weren't specific. Is that low dose fish oil? Or is it the people that are taking, let's say, 10 grams or more? Because there was a guy named Charles Poliquin. Have you heard of him?
Yes, yeah.
I knew him. He was a famous trainer. He used to, he told people who had high systemic inflammation, or let's say pain in the body, he used to tell them to have 50 grams a day of fish oil.
Well, the initial studies, they're on 20 grams, 25 grams. So that's probably what is influenced by. I tell people 3 to 9, but that's a lot more. It's a lot. No. Well, that's that gets us to the second topic, but just briefly for the audience to know. So these initial, go ahead.
I just want to say, just before I forget, in reference to the first thing that this guy Pete says about internal oxidation, it's true. Polyunsaturated are highly prone to oxidation. There's no question that's not even debatable. But the thing is, you have endogenous antioxidants and dietary antioxidants. A lot of people will take various supplements, vitamin C, A, E, these are dietary. Then you have the endogenous glutathione, catalase, there's one or two others that basically handle that stuff. As long as your endogenous antioxidants and your normal, and you don't have to take supplements. If you eat fruits and vegetables, you're getting a lot of natural, or broccoli. You're getting a lot of natural antioxidants. Under normal circumstances, the endogenous antioxidants and the external antioxidants will prevent any type of oxidation problems related. However, if you're taking massive amounts of fish oil, where we're talking about over 25 grams a day, there's a chance that it might overcome the internal oxidation, antioxidation factors, and you might have some increased oxidation. But that would be with massive amounts. I myself I've never taken more than 5 grams a day. So
that's a very coherent, and that's a great analysis. I think so. We'll move to that. So the antioxidant thing, the idea is this: it's about the amount, the quantity. You can have a little oxidative stress in your body; it'd be neutralized, and you still get the inflammation reduction from the EPA, which is really genomic, and other effects that are beneficial. But I did do some research on this, and some of it surprised me. So I found it began in 2012, a rodent study showing that oxidized fish oil produced harmful effects in the rodents. There's later studies on pregnant rodents, oxidized fish oil increasing mortality of the mothers as compared to non-oxidized fish oil, and as compared to high oleic sunflower, I think it was sunflower oil. Yes. But anyway, there was a couple of things. And then there was another one, actually, to be honest with you, human study on like 54 participants that shows that oxidized fish oil over a 7-week period increased LDL cholesterol by 6%. Whereas unoxidized decreased it by 19%. Yeah. So this is what we're talking about here now, just for the audience to know, is we're talking about the fish oil before it even gets in your body. Is that oxidized? Because if it is exposed to air and hot temperatures and sunlight and so on, it can oxidize before it even gets in you, and then potentially whatever's not oxidized could get oxidized in your body enzymatically. So, but overall, we have to keep in mind something. All these cardiovascular studies showing the major reductions in heart attacks, they include the natural oxidation of by definition, the people are oxidizing the fish oil that they're taking. Yeah. So the net effect seems to be a net positive, a major net positive, right? Right. And on the topic of strokes and arrhythmias, I'm glad you brought up the arrhythmias. I was forgetting about it. In the initial studies I looked at in Inuits, they had massive reductions in heart attacks, but they had slightly higher risk of arrhythmia and of that ischemic stroke. But so if somebody's, I don't know anyone, by the way, that only has a danger of ischemic stroke. I think most people have a danger of a heart attack also. So it's a little bit, I don't know anybody who would want to certainly avoid fish oil. But you can see from, like, I even, I did a video on this that I'm going to post soon. There's even a study excluding the Reduce It trial. That trial, just for audience, they use 4 grams of EPA called Vasepa. It's a ethyl ester form, actually, which is more prone to oxidation, by the way, it turns out, from some surveys. They use 4 grams, and they have like around a 25% reduction in heart attacks in people already on statins. Yeah. And that have had heart attacks before. So you're talking about maybe the most life-saving supplement that's ever been found. Right. Well, I don't know if anything else does that.
I did, maybe 2-3 years ago, they came out with you probably know this, they came out with some studies in the journals talking about how omega-3 fish oil has no effect whatsoever in preventing cardiovascular disease. I got so angry that I immediately, the same day, got some research together and typed an entire article, point by point, talking about why it was false. And I quoted actual double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, like this famous, I can't remember the name of the Italian study, you probably, I'm sure, have seen a couple of years ago, showed a 20% decrease in overall mortality from high omega-3 intake, right? You go on, and as far as the oxidation, everything you said is true. Oxidized omega-3 is not good. It does raise LDL. It's basically toxic stuff. But here's the thing. You got to be careful. When you buy fish oil, whether it's capsules or liquid, I use the liquid because I don't want to have to take 10.
By the way, surveys show the liquid is less likely to oxidize than the soft gel.
Yeah, because the soft gel's been sitting around. Who knows? Exactly. But, any type of fish oil supplement, first of all, the first principle, you got to, as soon as you open it up, you got to stick it in the refrigerator.
Absolutely.
Refrigerator will help prevent oxidation. Second point, if you are concerned about that, and it's a legitimate concern, I mean, they've done studies. I remember one year they did a study where they analyzed something like 15 commercial fish oil supplements. They found that 12 of them were oxidized, and this was liquid and capsules, right? A year later, they did the same survey, and for some mysterious reason, only one of them was now oxidized.
I'll tell you, the recent review of these oxidation tests shows that they're very unreliable, particularly in the face of food taste, when they add the taste to it.
That's true. But here's what you can do. There's a site called something like the International Fish Oil. I can't remember what it's called exactly.
Really?
But what they do, get this, it's free. What they do is they test any company that's willing to have their product analyzed could submit it to them, and they will completely test it for every possible negative factor. And they also show the potency of the fish oil supplement, but they will tell you the level of oxidation in this.
Wow, because Consumer Lab doesn't.
No, they don't. No, wait. To get a certification from this, I think it's called IFO.
Yeah.
International Fish something. But anyway, you know, something fishy about it. Anyway, what I'm saying is that they will give a supplement that passes, and their tests are very stringent. They use the accurate, and they know the right tests to measure oxidation in fish oil. They will give it a certification, and the companies. I use a product that has a little thing on the label certified by the IFO, which makes it pass testing as being not oxidized. So if you're concerned, just go to look it up. It's a free site, and they have list. You know, you can look up any fish oil. So it'll tell you whether it's passed or failed on the oxidation.
I'm going to the site right after we finish. I didn't know about this. Every time I speak to you, I learn something very valuable. I had no idea, because I was thinking, I looked at them for mercury content or the amount of EPA and DHA, but I couldn't find someone. This is great. This is great information. Yeah. Okay, so now nobody has an excuse. You can go check out if it's oxidized or not. But
the mercury, first of all,
they don't have mercury. Very few of them.
Well, here's the thing. Fish oil, like cod liver oil, which is taken from fish liver.
That has mercury, yeah.
Everyone knows the liver is the detoxifying organ of the body, and in animals, the same thing. So any toxins that accumulate are going to accumulate in the liver. Yes. So cod liver oil could have higher amounts of mercury and these so-called heavy metals and all that. But you have to understand, fish oil is taken from fish muscle. Yeah. And right off the bat, there's less. And almost I can't think of a single fish oil supplement I've ever seen that it doesn't go through molecular distillation.
Yeah, that's what they all do, honestly.
And they do that. The mercury and the heavy metals are reduced to trace amounts so low that they have absolutely no effect whatsoever. That's something to keep in mind, because I still see a lot of unscrupulous people with ads where they're talking about buy our fish oil, and they try to imply that all other fish oil products are loaded with mercury and
all the time, Jerry. People always comment on my channel like, which fish oil doesn't have mercury? I want to explain to them. They use molecular distillation. The crappy products are ethyl ester, no mercury, and the non-crappy ones were added back to triglyceride, no mercury.
That's the irony of it, Leo, because
they just trick. They don't care.
The ethyl ester products, as you know, those are the so-called pharmaceutical fish oils that you actually have to have a prescription for. And those are the ones most given off by doctors. Those are the ones most prone to oxidation.
I know.
And having heavy metal content. And then the most expensive. They're 5 times more than the commercial fish oil.
Let me tell you something that really bugs me, though, Jerry. I don't know if it bugs you. Carlson's brand says on the back of it, partly in triglyceride form. So what they do, they took it into ethyl ester, and then to be able to say triglyceride, I assume, they don't tell you what part. I assume they took 2% of it and re-esterified it into triglyceride form and put it there.
I don't like that either.
It's so annoying. Why would you put part of it? What does that mean? Do all of it or none of it?
That's because, they're doing that. It's almost like the same thing with the spiking of whey proteins, where they'll add some like nitrogenous substance in it to inflate the amount of protein in the product, when in fact it actually has much less protein. Yeah.